I've worked with dozens of professional athletes over the course of my career. A lot of them being professional fighters, but also professional athletes from a wide variety of sports like the NFL, NHL, the Major League Baseball, a whole bunch of other sports. And there's one major difference that I'm seeing from professional MMA athletes to professional athletes in these other sports. So one thing I do with my fighters, early on when I work with an MMA fighter or any fighter that is a part of my program, we sit down and we talk about what it really means to be a true MMA professional. And that doesn't mean just fighting professionally, because there's a lot of people who are what I would consider amateur, and they are still fighting at the professional level. So taking a professional approach to MMA, I think, is really the next step for a lot of these fighters' careers, and a lot of them just don't know what that means and how to get there. So I want to help you guys understand what it means to take a real professional approach. And I think because there is no real requirement to be a professional, you can just sign up to be a professional and fight in a professional organization, even if it's a very low-level organization. And technically you could be a pro. So there's no requirement like getting drafted to the NFL, where these guys have to go through collegiate athletics where they learn a ton about how to take a more professional approach, and then have to go through an NFL combine, and then have to go and then get into the NFL. And there's all kinds of training camps and things that gear them up to be a real professional. But that doesn't exist in MMA yet. So I want to help you guys take a more professional approach. And this is going to help your learning curve get way faster. So you're going to learn a lot faster if you take this approach. And you're going to start to really outclass your peers, because you're going to set yourself apart in the overall work that you're actually able to do. So what I mean by taking a professional approach, let's take a look at a normal MMA fighter schedule. Most fighters that I've worked with, I'd say almost everyone, they train a very similar schedule to this. They train twice a day, usually morning and afternoon. Sometimes there might be a third session in there. So maybe we got 2 hours, let's say, just generally speaking, we'll average it out. About 2 hours in the morning from about 10 a.m. to 12, and then we'll rest and eat lunch and do some stuff, and then we'll train again from about 4 to 6 at night. Okay, hours might be different, but we generally do that 5 days a week, and then maybe 1 or 2 training sessions on the weekend. So that's an average fighter's training schedule. And what most guys do is they show up to these sessions and they train really hard. And that's it. That's where it stops. They train their asses off. They beat themselves to hell. When they show up, they go hard, 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 hard. Everybody goes really, really hard. And they think that that's what it takes. So what I try to explain to them, first of all, is tell me what other job on the planet exists that you show up to work and work hard for 4 hours a day. None. You can't be a school teacher and show up and work for 4 hours a day. So these guys want to be professional athletes at the highest level of their sport, making money like Conor McGregor, and they ought to show up and work for 4 hours a day? That's bullshit. That's not a professional approach. If you go to the NFL, these guys are working on their craft 24/7. Every minute, from the time they wake up, the time they go to bed, even the time they go to bed is planned out to help their performance. So what I try to point out to people is, what are we doing here that can improve my performance as a fighter? And then what are we doing here that can improve my performance as a fighter? And then what am I doing here that can improve my performance as a fighter? That's a lot of hours left in the day where there's plenty of time for me to be improving my performance as a fighter. That's a professional approach. Now the problem is most fighters think that they just have to train. So, well, I can't train here and here and here and here because I'd just be so tired and so beat up. That's the problem, because we think everything has to be such hard training. Again, let's take the NFL. These guys wake up in the morning, and let's look at a guy like Tom Brady, one of the best to ever play the sport. Wake up in the morning, and they're doing something to take care of their body. Maybe they're doing some soft tissue work. Maybe they're doing some meditation. Maybe they're doing some foam rolling, some stretching, some mobility. Maybe they're doing some breathing exercises. They're doing something to get their body prepared for the day. Then they're going to eat a meal. And they probably have it calculated out to make sure that that meal is optimizing their performance. They're not just guessing, they're not eating crap out of the fridge. They are eating something specifically that's going to help them to perform better at their job. Then they show up and they do their training. Then they have this downtime. Do you think they're hanging out, dicking around, playing video games all the time? Sometimes they need a little downtime, but you know what they go do? A guy like Tom Brady, he's in there watching game film. He's studying opponents, he's studying his own film, he's watching defenses, he's learning the game. This is something that we miss out a lot in fighting. We don't study as much. Now I'm sure there's some fighters that are out there doing that, but I've worked with a lot of guys, I've talked to a lot of them, and there's not nearly this much stuff going on. So the only learning we're doing about how to become a better fighter comes from here, when I'm on the mats and I'm fighting. And that's of course the best time, but let's take advantage of these other hours. Start talking to some of your coaches and learning things that you can pick up. Start watching other fighters or watching videos of your practice, watching your sparring, breaking those things down, learning these skill sets by repetition and repetition and repetition of actually visualizing and going through this stuff. That's how we can have some massive benefit. And then at night, let's eat a meal that's taking care of my body, that's helping me recover from these training sessions. Maybe I do something for recovery. I go in the sauna, I hit an ice bath, I do a cryo, I got the Normatex on my legs, I'm doing something to help me recover and I'm planning that out. And then I'm gonna go to bed at the right time to allow my body to recover for the next day. So every single hour of the day is geared up to help make me a better athlete. That is what's gonna help me get to the top of my game in terms of performance. Otherwise, you might get there. There's fighters who do this shit and they get to the top, but that's because there's so many guys who are doing this stuff. So if you want to start to set yourself apart, 10 years from now, everybody at the top will be doing this because there'll be more money in this sport. There'll be more people bringing research and things together that will start to get guys to this next level, next level, next level. We'll start to see these freak athletes that you couldn't even imagine, just like we've been seeing in every other sport. If you look at the NFL, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, the level of athlete, the competition, the level of strategy, the knowledge of the game, all of that stuff is at such a high level because the guys are taking this kind of professional approach. So that's what I mean by taking being a true MMA professional, taking a professional approach all the hours of the day, not just showing up and training hard. That's the minimum requirement. If that's what you're doing and that's what you're hanging your hat on, you're set up for failure, and other guys who take this approach are going to get the edge on you and are going to start to step over you as this sport continues to evolve.